Okay, so I just found this out. Did you know that there are videos for some topics? I can't even believe this took me this long. You know, I did over 300 videos before I saw this. So if you click on this, it opens up a video, and there's like 2 of them. And this is decay here. Anyway, I was playing it. Check this out.
Hello, this is Mrs. Simon. Sketch.
You can change the speed. So like at first, I was just thinking, this is going too slow. So I just did 1.5 times. Watch
A graph
this.
of y equals 3 times 1/2 to the x power. Well, this is going to be a graph of an exponential decay. And one way that we can get some values to graph it is by using a table of values. So we'll put x in our left column, we'll choose some values, and in the right-hand column will be our y values, which we get from using the equation 3 times 1/2 to the x power. So let's choose some negative value.
So you can watch those, which gives some good ideas. And also mine, I'm going to give some examples based on the Alex topics. So if I want to graph this exponential function, sometimes you're going to have decay and sometimes you're going to have growth. The example that Mrs. Higman, I think her name was giving, it was decay because she was raising a fraction to an exponent. This is not a fraction, so this is going to be growth, and it's going to go uphill, and then a decay one would have the fractions that went downhill, like hers. So you can, you know what's really cool is you can actually graph it in Desmos and see what it looks like to see if you got it right. You can do a table of values and then plot the points, which is probably what I'll do, is do a table of values. Okay, anytime you raise a power to 0, like when x is 0, you're going to get 1. So I know that at 0, it's going to be 1. At 1, when x is 1, I'm going to have the number 2/3. So I want to plot that point. And then when x is -1, I know that the negative exponent means to do the reciprocal, so that's going to be 3/2. I'm supposed to have 5 points, huh? So that's 3. What about, okay, we'll do 2. So if we square it, we just square both, so it'd be 4/9. And then I know -2 is going to be the reciprocal of 4/9, so it's going to be 9/4. There, that wasn't so bad. Once I got the 5 points, I can put this on, make sure to plot 5 points. I thought I did. Oh, I have to do an asymptote. Okay, so I know that it's never going to be, y will never be 0 because you'll continually get, what's it called? You'll continually get a fraction raised to a power. So now I can do it. Okay, there we go. I don't think y is ever going to be 0 on these if x is in the exponent. Okay, so I know that when x is 0, this fraction to the 0 will be 1, and then we'll have a -1. So at 0, -1, I'll plot that point. Then when x is 1, I'm going to have a -3/4. When x is -1, I'm going to have the opposite of that, so or not the opposite, the reciprocal of that, so -4/3. Then we'll square, so when x is 2, we're going to have a -9, what's 4 squared? 16ths. And then when x is -2, we're going to have a -16/9. Oh yeah, we need an asymptote too, don't we? So y will never be 0. We already know that. Or g of x will never be 0. And then plot that, and we're good to go. Exponential functions are actually kind of fun to graph. With that negative on the outside, you knew it was going downwards. -x, which means it's always going to be the reciprocal. So always when x is 0, this is going to be 1. What about when x is 1? That's a -1, which means that's going to be the reciprocal. So that's 5/8. And then when x is -1, that's a -1, which is 8/5. It's kind of an interesting one, isn't it? Okay, and then when x is 2, we do the reciprocal, so 5/8 squared is 24. 5/64. And then when x is -2, it's going to be the opposite of that, which is, or not opposite. Oh, I keep saying that. It's the reciprocal, 64/25. There we go. Then again, y will never be 0. And we graph, and we're good. Okay. That's the end of the lesson.